Hello everyone, this is Ankit Jain. I welcome you all to my channel Take Journey with Ankit. Today is day 37 of our LWC Bootcamp. In today's session, we will explore how we can use the imperative apex in LWC, how we can perform the CRUD operations by using the imperative apex with LWC. Moreover, we also try to understand as a developer when you should go for the wire decorator to fetch the records and also when you should go for the imperative apex to fetch the record. So how you can make that decision. So let's try to go and deep dive. Before we get started, a quick intro about me. My name is Ankit Jain. I do have more than 10 years of experience in the Salesforce ecosystem, where I got an opportunity to work on the different clouds of the Salesforce, including the Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, CPQ, Billing, as well as on the Financial Services Cloud. I do have my majority of my experience in the LWC as well as on the integration. In case you folks likes to connect with me, you can connect with me on these different channels. You can connect with me on YouTube and LinkedIn as well as on the Telegram. You will get the links of all these different channels in the video description. So let's get started with the today's topic where we will understand what is imperative apex. Again, if you folks recall, few days before we have covered one session where we discussed that whenever we have to fetch the record by making an apex call, we will go for the wire decorator. So with the help of wire decorator, we go and define the method and fetch those record. Again, if I take you back, we also discussed that wire decorator will be invoked automatically by the framework. As a developer, we don't have any control when the wire method should be invoked. So it will be invoked by the framework as soon as the component is loaded. It will be invoked by the framework whenever any parameters has been changed. In case we are defining any reactive parameters, it will be again invoked by the framework whenever we are making the call by using the refresh apex. So these are the different scenarios that we have covered in the past. But what if I do have a requirement where I want to make the call to an apex program on the click of the button? How can I make a call to the apex as soon as user have input something or user have submitted the form, right? These are the different scenarios where we have to think about an alternative approach, and that alternative approach that we can follow is by using the imperative apex. So the main use of the imperative apex here is, as a developer, if we want to have the control when the wire method should be invoked, we should go for the imperative apex. Again, I'm repeating, as a developer, if we want to have a control when the apex method should be invoked, for example on the clicking of the button, for example as soon as the parameter has been changed. So as a developer, if I have to take the control and call an apex classes, then we should go for the imperative apex. Another use case to go for the imperative apex, and which is equally important, whenever you have to perform any DML operations on the data. Again, in the previous session, we discussed that we can perform the DML operations on the data by using the wire adapters, where we have discussed how we can use the create record, update record, as well as the delete record. Again, wire adapters are good whenever we are performing the operations on one record, right? Or we are performing operations on the limited number of record. But let's say you have to perform the operations on the bulk number of record. You do have the complex logic, and on the base of the complex business logic, you have to go and perform the DML operations on the data. Definitely, in such scenarios, our preferred option is always to go for the Apex, because Apex is designed to do the business logic, right? And now in the Apex, how we can make a call from the Lightning Web Component to perform the DML operation? Again, the answer is the imperative Apex. So the two primary use cases when to go for the imperative apex. First, as a developer, if we want to have a control when the apex method should be invoked, then we should go for the imperative apex. Second one, whenever we have to perform a DML operations on the data. When I say the DML operation means whenever we have to perform the update record, create record, delete record, right? Whenever we have to perform all those operations on the data, then again we should go for the imperative apex, right? Again, what all the different things that we have to take care at the apex end whenever we are making the apex call imperatively. Now there are two scenarios that we discussed. Scenario one, whenever we have to fetch the record, and scenario two, whenever we have to perform the DML operations on the record. So whenever we have to fetch the record, that time again we have to go for the same aura enabled cacheable equal to true, right? Again, I'm repeating, whenever you have to fetch the record, then you can go for the cacheable equal to true, right? But in case you have to go and perform the DML operations on the data, Again, I'm repeating, whenever you have to go and perform the DML operations on the data, that time you cannot use cacheable equal to true. In case you do that, you will get the exceptions in the Apex. In case you do that, you will get the exceptions in the Apex. So whenever you have to go and perform any DML operations on the data, you have to make sure that your method is not annotated with cacheable equal to true. Right? So whenever you are performing the create operation, update operation, delete operation, that time you have to make sure that you are not putting the cacheable equal to true on the Apex method. Right? Another use case that we come across very frequently, but it's good to know as a developer, right? To go for the imperative Apex. For example, there are few standard objects like the task and the event. We cannot perform the DML operations on these task objects by using the wire adapters, right? We cannot go and perform the DML operations by using the create record, update record, or delete record on the task and the event object. Again, there are few list of objects which does not support the user interface API. I will recommend you folks, if you go and look into the Salesforce documentation, you will get that list, right? So from that list, in case you are manipulating those standard objects provided by the Salesforce, then again you should go for the imperative Apex, right? So coming to the syntax part, how to write down the imperative Apex. First, again, like we import the method, like we have done in the wire adapter, wire decorator. Similarly, here also we have to go and import it. There is no change in this step. Now the only difference here is as you are taking the control when to invoke the wire method, right? Now you have to go and put the method, whatever the method that you have imported, you can put that method. Again, you can pass the parameters here. I will take an example how you can pass the parameters from here, right? And what this method will return, this method will always returns the promise. What this method will return, this method will always returns the promise. Now it's completely up to you if you want to handle the promise with the help of asynchronous, with the help of async await, or with the help of promise chain. But always remember, whenever you are making any server call from the Salesforce, it will always gonna return you the promise. Okay, now let me go back to the org. So this is an example that we have developed with the help of wire decorator. You can see that these records are getting loaded whenever my page is loading, right? For example, here if I go and load the page, these records will be loaded on my UI. But what if my business don't want these records to be loaded on the UI? Let's say my business want this record should be loaded on the UI on the click of the button. When they go and click on that button, that time only this record should be loaded. This record should not be loaded on the page load. Again, we cannot do that with the help of wire decorator. In such scenarios, we have to go for the imperative Apex. So let's go and try to build an imperative Apex on our VS Code. So here I am creating one uh, lightning web component. I am naming that lightning web component as the imperative Apex demo. First, I will show you how you can load the record. After that, we'll take next step. We'll see how we can pass the parameters. And after that, we will take one more example where we'll try to understand how we can perform the DML operation. So definitely we will going to cover the multiple example in the today's live bootcamp. So here I go and create one lightning web component, and I'm naming that lightning web component as the imperative Apex, right? So here I go and put one button on my HTML file. So let me go and put a lightning card, putting a title here as imperative Apex demo. And here I am putting one lightning button. Right? And let me put the button here, lightning button. Let me put the label here is load account records, right? This is my lightning button, and putting a variant here as the brand. And on the click of this, I'm calling an handler, and let me call it as a click handler. Let me call this as the click handler, right? So what will happen here, as soon as I go and click on this button, this method will execute on my JavaScript. So let me navigate to the JavaScript. So what we have to do in this method, basically, we have to make an Apex call. Right? If you folks recall, in the previous session, we have developed few Apex classes. One of the Apex class that we have developed is the get account data. Very simple Apex in case you are watching this video directly, right? What we are doing in this method, we are fetching the account records and returning it back to the user. Right? Very simple, nothing additional. So this is our class and this is the method. So what I want to do here is I want to make a call to this method. So here I go. As I said, first we have to go and perform the import operation. So let me go and import this. Again, you can give any name to the method. You can go and give the same name, or you can add the alias as well. So here I go and import the get account data from Salesforce Apex account helper dot get account data. So I have imported this method. Right? Now what we have to do next is we have to make a call to this method by using the imperative apex. Again, imperative apex is nothing but you have to make sure that you are calling it and returning and handling the response in the form of promise. This is how we can go and call it. In case we don't have to pass any parameter, this is how we go and call it. And as I said, whenever we have to handle the response, we will handle the response in the form of promise. So whatever the result that we are getting, I am putting that result here. Similarly, whatever the error that we are getting, I am putting that error here. Right? Before we go and write down and display that output on the UI, let me go and console it to validate whether we are getting the correct response or not. So here I go and put console.log account records, and here is the result. Similarly, here I go and put the console.log account error, and here I go and put the error. Right? Very simple. On the click of this button, this method will be called. We are calling this method from here and we are getting the records. Another key thing that I want you to take a note here is in the case of imperative apex, also we can use the cacheable equal to true. Many times a question has been asked in the interview as well. Can we use the cacheable equal to true with the imperative apex? Again, the answer to this is it's completely conditional. If we are using the imperative apex to fetch the records, that means to only get the records, then we can use the cacheable equal to true. It's completely optional. If you go and put it, it's a good practice. But again, if you go and take that out, then also it's completely fine. Okay, you will not get any error. In the case of wire, it is mandatory, but in the case of imperative apex, this is completely optional, right? But again, as per the documentation, it's a good practice to put it. However, whenever you are performing the DML operations, that time you cannot use cacheable equal to true. Okay, so we got the data. Now let me go and expose this component, putting this as the true and defining the targets here as the app page. Let me go and deploy this. Right, my component is created. Let's go and add this component on our app page. So clicking on the edit page to do that. So here I go and drag and drop it. Let me go back. Now here you can see we as a developer, I do have a control when my apex should be called. Like in the case of wire, it is automatically called when the component is loaded. But here I do have the control when my apex should be called. So let me go and expand the window to check the output. Let me first go and clear the console. And here I go and clicking on this button. You can see that we are getting this 14 records from the apex. Right, we are getting these 14 records from the apex. Now we have to put these records on the UI. Like it is very simple, like we have already done it in the past, how to put the records in the lightning data table. So for that, again, I'm navigating to the component library, opening the component library, and we will go and put the data table there. Let me go and look for the data table. It's still loading. Yes. Right, so what I am doing here is I am loading this data, I'm copying this data table from here, and putting it on my HTML file. Now this can close this for now, and I'm putting this on my HTML file. I'm creating another division for it, SLDS, where p around small, and in this division I am putting it. Again, I want this division to be loaded only and only when I do have some data, right? Then and then only loading this division will make sense. So what I will do here is, here I go and put template LWC. If I do have any data, then and then only we will go and load the lightning data table. Otherwise the blank table will come up, and we don't want that. That's why I'm putting that condition here. Now, moving to the imperative apex one more time. So what all different things that we have to do at the JavaScript end? Definitely we have to go and define the data as we are fetching the data. So let me go and put the data. I am putting that as a empty array for now, right? Because on the initial load, there will be nothing here. Similarly, columns, right? We have to go and define the columns as well. Column structure is available in a JavaScript file. So I'm navigating to the JavaScript file and copying this column structure from here. Again, down the line, we will go and deep dive into the data table as well. That time we will explain, we will try to explore a few more attributes on the data table. But again, for the time being, I'm keeping it very simple. Now, what all different columns that we have received? So again, the best way to do understand this is to go and check the output. And from the output, it's very easy to go and design the data table. So let me go and expand it. So you can see that we do have the name. Let me go and expand it. We do have the uh, industry name as well as the rating. There are three columns that we do have. So let's go and do this. I'm removing the last two one from now because I have to only display three columns. So I'm keeping three here. Again, label, it's completely up to you. You can give any name to the label. I'm putting the account name, account industry, as well as the account rating. Coming towards the field name, you have to give the exact name that you are getting. So for the account name, the name is the exact name. So I have to give the exact name. Make sure that you have to also take care of the case here. You have to make sure that you are putting the exact case, right? For the industry, this is the industry. So here I go and put the industry. Again, by default, in case you are not specifying any type, the type is always text. So I'm taking out the type from here. And for the last field that I do have here is the rating. So let me go and put the rating here. Again, I'm also taking out the type from here. So my column structure is also ready, right? Let me go and check if any of the property is missing. We do have the data, we do have the columns, right? And we are already checking the data. Now, whatever the result that we are getting, I will just go and populate that result in this data. So here I go and put this dot data is equal to result, right? Let me go and deploy this now. Let's go and refresh the page to validate whether the table is coming up as expected or not on the click of the button. So I have put the wire example and the imperative example side by side to understand. In the case of wire, the records are not coming up when the component is loading. However, in the case of Apex, in the case of imperative Apex, you can see that the records are not coming up unless and until user is taking any action. As soon as user have taken the action, then and then only the records are coming up. However, in the case of wire, the record came up as soon as the component is loaded. That is a kind of a big difference between the wire decorator as well as the imperative Apex. And it's kind of a favorite question from the interviewer as well whenever the interviewer is evaluating you on the LWC. Like, what is the important difference between the wire decorator as well as the imperative Apex? Now, we understood how to load the records with the help of imperative Apex. Now, the next thing we will see how we can pass the parameters from LWC to Apex, right? So what we will do here is, here we will go and put one combo box, and on the combo box, what user will do, user will go and select the let's say industry from the combo box and then click on this button to load those records. Okay, so we will go and modify this example. Now to do that, as I said, we will go and use the combo box. To use the combo box, again we will go for the standard component. Here I am putting the lightning combo box. which will give me a pick list. So from the pick list, user can get the value, right? So again, I'm copying the complete pick list from here. And what I am doing here is, let me go and put that pick list here. But again, if I go and put something like this, what will happen? They will come uh, one after the other. Again, to make it more linear, what I am doing here is I'm going for the SLDS grid. So let me go for the grid. We have done that many times in the past. I'm just doing it one more time. So there are two components. So I want to design it something like this. So I'm copying the code from here and navigating back to my org to align the page. So what I'm doing here is I'm pasting the complete code, right? So in the first area, I want the combo box should come up. So I'm copying this from here and putting it here. And similarly, in the next one, I want the button should come up. So I'm copying that, cutting it from here and putting it here, right? This is how we can go and define the input button as well as the combo box in the one single line. Now, we have to also take care of the input, as there is only one input that we do have. Name is not required. Label, let me give the label here as industry, right? Value, whatever the value that user is selecting, right? But in my scenario, I don't need any value parameter, so I can also take it out. Let me put here the select industry options. So we have to load the industry options here, that we will do in a while, and whatever the value that user is changing, we have to load that value. So let me navigate here. So there are two things that we have to load. First is the options, and second one is the way to have the handle change method, where we can get the change value. So let me put the handle change method here. Again, let me go and put this value as blank for now. So what we have to do here is, whatever the options that are coming up, we have to populate that option. But for that, we have to dynamically go and get all the industry options here, right? For example, if I go to the accounts, on the accounts object, we do have this many industries, right? We have already covered this in very detail in one of our previous session, right? You can see that we are getting all these different industries here. Now I have to go and fetch all these different industries. So how we can do that? The answer to that is very simple. We will use the get pick list value, right? The answer to this is very simple. We will go and use the get pick list value. How to use the get pick list value? Anyone? Can you please let me know how we can use the get pick list value? What all different parameters that we have to pass to get the get pick list value? It do take two parameters. First one is the record type ID, where we have to pass the default record type, or the record type for which you have to get the pick list value. And the second parameter is the field API name. Field API name is very simple. You just have to go and import the field API name. So let me go and do it here. So here I am importing the account industry from Salesforce schema slash account dot industry. So I have imported the account industry. Now the next thing that we have to do here is, we have to also go and get the record type ID. How we can dynamically access the record type ID? To do that, we have to use another wire adapter method, and that is the get record, which will return me the record type ID. Again, here I am using the IntelliSense. In case you folks are not using any IntelliSense, you have to make sure that you are importing these methods manually. Like I have imported the get record by using the IntelliSense, and also the get pick list value by using the IntelliSense, right? So make sure that these two are also available for you. Now to use this get record, what we have to do, sorry, not the get record, my bad. We don't have to use the get record here. So let me take this out. We have to use another method. My mistake. We have to use the method as get object info, right? With the help of this method, we can get the properties of an object, and we have to pass certain parameters here, and the parameter that we have to pass here is the object API name. As I said, I have covered this in very detail in one of the previous sessions, right? So make sure that you are referring those sessions in case you are not clear how to get the pick list values. So again, I'm capturing the response here in the form of property. So let me put here the property name as an account info. Again, what we have to do here is we have to pass the object API name. So let me also pass the object API name here. So here I am putting the account object and importing the account object here. So here I am passing the account object, and whatever the response that we are getting, I am handling that response in the account info property. Here you can see we are getting that error. That error is coming up because we have not imported the wire decorator from the LWC module. Right now there is no error. So I will get the default record type ID. Now once I got the default record type ID, I can pass that record type ID here in the form of reactive parameters. Again, what is reactive parameter we have discussed in detail with multiple examples in the past. So you have to use account info dot data. Why data? Because we are using the property, and the property will return us the that will return us the default record type is the default record type ID. In case you are not sure the property name, the best way we discussed in the past, put the output in the form of function, and then you can take the note of the property, or you can also refer the Salesforce documentations as well. This is how you can dynamically access the industry. And what I am doing here is whatever the industry output that I am getting here, again I am storing that output in the property. So let me put the property name here as the industry pick list. Right, so whatever the output that we are getting, I am storing that output in this industry pick list. Now the next thing what we will do here is we will go and load this combo box only and only when the industry pick list options are available. So again, what we do, we will put the condition template LWC if we do have the industry pick list dot data, then and then only we will go and load the combo box. And the options that we have to pass here is the industry dot pick list, industry pick list dot data dot values. Right, we have to go and pass all those options that we are loading by using the get object info and the get pick list values method. Let me go and check if we do have any questions. I do expect that we have covered this in very detail, but still if anyone have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I believe it's all good, so we can move further. So we got the pick list values, right? By using this wire adapters method, we got the columns loaded on the UI. Sorry, let me go and change the structure. Ideally, we should go and define all the properties first, and after that, we should make a call to the wire decorator. Now, whatever the selection that user is doing, we have to store that selection into one of the variable. So what I am doing here is I am putting another variable and naming that variable as the selected industry, and naming that variable as the selected industry. Now in this selected industry, we will go and pass the data. Right, so to capture the data, what we have to do, again we are already using the on change method. Whatever the value that we are getting, after changing this, we will go and capture that value. So here I go and put this dot selected industry is equal to event dot target dot value, event dot target dot value. Right, so we got the industry, also we got the options here. Now the next thing that we have to do here is whatever the industry value that user is selecting, we have to load only those records. Right, so whenever we are making a call to this method, we have to make sure that, let me go and open that Apex class. What we have to make sure is whenever we are making a call to this Apex method, we have to make sure that we are passing one parameter as the industry. So what I am doing here is I am defining one parameter here. Let's say my parameter here is input industry. You can give any name to the parameter. Okay, so here I am putting the parameter name as the input industry, and whatever the value that user is inputting, what we are doing here is we are only filtering for those industries. So here I go and put the criteria is equal to by using the binding variable. Right, so what we have done, we have modified the method to accept one parameter. Let me go and deploy this. Now whenever you are making a call to this method, we have to make sure that whenever we are making a call to this method, we have to make sure that we are passing the industry here. So what we have to do here is Let me go here and pass the parameter. Again, to pass the parameter, you have to pass the parameter in the form of object here. You have to pass the parameters in the form of object. Whatever the parameters that you have to pass, now you can pass that parameters in the form of object. Now, whenever you are passing the parameter, there are two things that you have to take care. First thing here is the name that you do have in the apex method, you have to use the exact name in the while calling it. So here I am calling the exact name, right? Again, while passing the parameters here, sequence doesn't matter. Only the name of the property that you are passing it matter. So you have to make sure that you are putting the property name in the exact way, in the exact case. And here to pass the value, here I am passing the value that I am storing in the selected industry. Here I am passing the value as the selected industry. So whatever the response that we are getting, again, everything is going to be the same, right? We have to load that records on the UI. So this is the key thing that you have to note, folks. Whenever you are passing any parameter, you have to pass the parameter like this. You have to make sure that this name and this name must be exactly same, right? Let me go and deploy this and we will validate the output one more time. I do have only one thing to remember. Okay, let's go and validate first in case it breaks. I will come back to that. Okay, it is, the button is not coming up good, but that's completely fine for now. We are not worrying about the CSS here. So what I am doing here is from the drop down, I am selecting the industry and clicking on those records. You can see that we are getting only those records for where the industry is energy. Similarly, what I am doing here is, here I am changing the industry to agriculture and clicking on load account record. Again, there are no records in my org with the name as, with the industry as energy. Let me go and check for the banking. Again, nothing is for the banking, right? We do have one record for the apparel, so we are getting that one record for the apparel. This is how you can pass the parameters. This is how you can pass the parameters from the LWC to Apex. Let me also quickly go and correct this. What we can do here is, let me put here the 2 of 4, as well as here also I am putting the 2 of 4, so that we'll get the equal space and the button do come up nicely. Let me go and refresh this. Meanwhile, folks, if you do have any question, let me know in the chat section. Okay, yeah, it's coming up good. Only thing is it's going bit up. We can pull it down, but again, that's more CSS part. Let's not deep dive into the CSS for now. Okay, now, as I said, the another use case of the imperative apex is you can perform the CRUD operations with the help of imperative apex. Right? As I said, another use case of the imperative apex is you can perform the CRUD operations with the help of imperative apex. So what we will do here is, for the demo, we will create a small form, right? And what we will do on that form, we will perform the update operation with the help of imperative apex. I do recommend, folks, you guys can try it out for the create as well as delete. Update is kind of a bit tricky. I'll not say tricky, but there is additional thing that you have to take care wherever you are performing the update operations with the help of imperative apex. So what we will do here is we will quickly go and create one form. Let me quickly go here and put one form. Imperative apex form. So in my form, there will be two different inputs and one button to perform the update operation. So let me put here lightning card title update using imperative apex. Putting a putting a division class slds where p around all. And there are two inputs. One is the lightning input. Let me make this read only, right? Because I don't want user should go and change this. So intentionally I'm making this as the read only. Uh, The next thing that we will do here is let me put the label here as account name, and we will populate this value as well, right? So how to populate the value, we will see it in a while. Similarly, I am putting another input that I had to take. Again, that input is not read only, so I'm taking this out. So another input that I will take here is, let me go to the org and validate what input that we can take. Let's say we are taking the ticker symbol. Okay, let's make it quite easy because I want to explain another concept. I don't want to go with the combo box and other things because we have already covered with lots of example. I'm taking a simple text field that is the ticker symbol. So with the help of this, they can go and update the ticker symbol. So here I go and put the ticker symbol, right? Now, again, whatever the ticker symbol that we do have, we will go and put that ticker symbol, and user can go and change the ticker symbol from here. So I'm putting the on change event here and naming it as the change handler. Very simple, right? Another thing that I do have on my form is the button as well. Lightning button, putting a label here as update record, variant as brand, and on click of this I'm calling a method, and let me call that method as the update ticker. Okay, so let me quickly go and navigate to the JavaScript file. What we have to do here is we have to go and first fetch the value of account name as well as the ticker symbol for the existing one, right? This is the one method that we have to create. So definitely I will go and put this method here where I have to make the apex call. So that's one thing that we have to do. But before we go and do that, we have to go and fetch the values. How we can fetch the values? We already discussed in the past. Whenever we have to fetch the values, we go for the get record method, right? So what I am doing here is I have to fetch the values for the two parameters. One is the account name and second is the ticker symbol. So let me go and import those fields here, for which I have to go and fetch the value. So here I go and put the account name from salesforce slash apex, sorry, slash schema slash account dot name, also account ticker. So let me go and put this as the ticker symbol, right? So these are the two fields that I am dealing with. One is the account and second is the ticker symbol. Now I have to make this call with the help of wire adapter. So I am putting the wire, and here I am putting the get record method. Again, I am using the IntelliSense. So these methods are automatically imported for me. Now this get record method we discussed in the past, it do take two parameters. First parameter is the record ID and second parameter is the fields that we have to pass. Second parameter is the fields that we have to pass. So let me go and put the field name. After that, we will go and put the record ID as well. So the field name is account name as well as the account ticker, right? Record ID, to access the record ID, it's very simple. We already discussed again in the past. We have to just put the @API record ID, and as we are using the API, we have to make sure that we are importing the API here, right? Now, whatever the response that we are getting from here, we have to store that response. So to store that response, let me use the function here as the output function, and I am storing this in the one variable, sorry, in two proper in one variable. Here I go and check that if I am getting the data, let me go and print the data, get record account, and here I am putting the data. In case there is any error, let me put here else if error. Here I am putting the error as well. As simple as this. Now, the next thing that we have to do here is whatever the output that we are getting, we have to display it on the UI. So what we will do, we will go and define the two different properties here. So let me put that property name as the account name as well as the account ticker. How to populate these properties? Again, we have discussed that in the past, right? Whenever we have to fetch the records from the get record, the easiest way to do here is, sorry, I put it somewhere in between. Let me put it on the top. So the best way to do here is by using the method called get field value. So I'm using the same method. Again, I'm using the IntelliSense. So that's why it is automatically imported. So here we have to pass two things. First is the data from which you have to fetch the value, and second is the field name. I have covered in detail how to use get record, get field value in detailed in the previous session. So make sure that in case you are not familiar, go over it. So whatever the account name that I am getting, I am storing that account name in the account name property. Similarly, I am doing the same thing for the account ticker as well. So here I go and put get field value and putting the data comma account ticker. Right? I got the account name. Also, I got the account ticker. Now, what we have to do next here is we have to go and display that value. So I am initializing both of them with the blank for now on the initial load unless and until we are not getting any values. So as soon as values will be available, values will go and populate it here. So here I go and put the ACC name, and for the ticker, what I am doing here is here I am putting the ACC ticker. Right now, as I said, the next thing we have to do here is we have to make sure that we have to perform the update operation for the change ticker, and for to handle the change we do have a method here called change handler. So this change handler method will be helpful to update the new ticker value. So here I am populating the account ticker is equal to event dot target dot value. Whatever the new value that user have entered, that new value will be populated in this account ticker. Right now, to perform this update operation, let me quickly go and write down one Apex method. So again, I'm navigating to the account helper here. Now here I want you folks to pay a close attention. What I am doing here is, here I am not using the cacheable equal to true. Why not? Because I have to perform the update operations on the data. And whenever you have to perform the update operations on the data, you should not go for the cacheable equal to true. So here I am putting it, putting the public static. Let me go here. Return type, I am putting this return type as the string for now. Okay. And let me put here update ticker record. This method, let's say it is accepting two parameter. First parameter I am passing here is the record ID, which record the user have to update, and second one I am passing up here is the ticker symbol, or let me put here new ticker. Okay, so these are the two parameters that my method is accepting. You can see that I am not using cacheable equal to true here. What I have to do here is I have to go and initialize the account to perform those operations. So here I go and put new account. Whatever the ID that user is passing, I am passing that ID. And whatever the ticker value that user is using, my ticker value is ticker symbol is equal to new ticker. And after that, the next thing that I have to do here is in the try catch block, I am performing the update operations on the account. Here I am putting the whatever the exception that we are getting, I'm catching that exception and returning the exception message. Similarly, in case my update operation is successful, I am returning the success message here. Very simple, right? Very simple update method. We are getting two parameters, performing the update and returning the response. Let me go and deploy this. Now we have to make a call to this method from our Apex. So how we can do that? As I said, the first thing that we have to do here is we have to go and perform the import operation. Right? What I have done, I have performed the import operation from the method. Now we have to make a call to this method. So I will come to the update ticker. Now this method is accepting two parameters. So we have to pass these two parameters. So what are the parameters that this method is accepting? First is the record ID. So here I go and put the record ID. My record ID is available in the this dot record ID variable. So I am passing that value here. Now the second parameter that I have to pass here is the new ticker. So, and my new ticker is available in the this dot account ticker, whatever the value that user have entered, it is available here. Now what I am doing here is I am handling the response. So let me go and handle the successful response. Console.log record updated successfully, and here I am printing the result value. And similarly, in the case of failure, what I am doing here is I am using the catch block, and here I am printing the error. And here I am putting the console.log record update failed, and here I am putting the error man. This is how we can perform the update operation. Now let's go and validate whether the update operation is working as expected or not. So to do that, I am exposing the component, defining the targets, putting the target as the record page because I am dealing with the record ID. That's why I'm putting here the record page, and let me go and deploy this. Meanwhile, I navigate here, click on the edit page and add this component. So here I go and add the component for the imperative apex. Let me check imperative apex form is the correct one. So that's fine. Let me go and remove it, and I am dragging and dropping this component here. Okay, somehow we are not getting the ticker symbol, so we have to go and check why. Uh-huh. Okay, we are not getting these values. Why? Okay, because we are not passing the record ID. So I missed that. Let me quickly go and do it. So I missed to pass the record ID. So here I go and pass the record ID. Now let me go and execute this again. Let me go and refresh it. Right. This time you can see whatever the values that we do have here. For example, here the ticker is UOS, right? And here also the value is coming up as UOS, right? Now, what I am doing here is, let's say I am changing this ticker symbol to tech, for example, right? And trying to update the record. I want you guys to pay close attention on the console as well. So let me parallelly open the console to here, right? So what I have done, initial value for this one was, where is that ticker, UOS, right? I have changed this value to tech and clicking on the update record. You can see that my record is successfully updated. You can see that my record here is successfully updated. But here, if you take a note here, is still it is showing the wrong ticker symbol. Definitely I have updated here, but still my LDS, it is showing me the wrong ticker symbol. Right? As a user, for example, if user is updating the ticker symbol, user cannot see these changes unless and until user go here and refresh the page. You can see that my update operation is successful, but still it is showing the old ticker symbol. But here, if I go and refresh the page, now it will start showing me the correct ticker symbol. So what user have to do here is, user have to manually go and refresh the page, right? For example, here, if I go and change this again to journey, right, and clicking on update record, you can see that the values are not replicating here unless and until user go and here and refresh the page. How we can avoid that kind of a user experience? How we can avoid that kind of a user experience? And answer to that is by using the notify record update available method. The answer to this is notify record update available method. Why we have to use this method? Because what the apex operations that we are doing here, we are doing it at the apex level, at the server level. And as we are doing performing those operations at the server level, my LDS is not updated. It is still referring the old cache memory, right? So what we have to do here is, here we have to notify the LDS that they have to go and update the record. What we have to do here is, here we have to go and notify the LDS that they have to go and perform the update operations on the record. And to do that, we will make a call to the method that is notify record update available method. And in this method, we pass the record ID. What we pass here in this method, we will pass the record ID. So whatever the records for which you have to go and update the cache, you have to pass that record ID here. What will happen as soon as you execute this method, your LDS will be updated, and all this data that you can see on the UI, it is coming up from the LDS memory, right? So everything will be updated. But again, this notify record update available method, it will also return the promise. So you have to be again handle this promise. That's why the better approach to handle this is by using the async await. You can also go and add it here by performing the promise chain. For example, here I will show you both the way. It's completely up to you which way you want to go. So first thing that you have to do here is, you have to go and import the notify record update available method. In case you folks guys got a chance to go and refer the old code, previously we do have another method to do that same, that is get record notify change. But Salesforce have superseded this method and they have recommended to use another method, that is notify record update available method, right? So make sure that you guys are using this method. So let me go and do that. Notify uh, I'm also not sure about the syntax part, so let me go and Google it here. Notify, yeah, notify record update available method. So what we have to do here is, we have to perform this import operation from the notify record update available. So here I go and perform this import operation, and after that we have to make a call to this method. Might be they have make that call here. So again I am copying the exact same thing from here, right? If I go and do this, my cache will be updated. I have intentionally not done that in the first one, because I want you to show how, in case you are not using this notify update record available, how the component will behave and what change will happen if you go and use it. As I said, it's again an promise. So in case you want to perform some operations, then what you have to do here is, again you have to use the then followed by the catch. It's one and the same thing, right? But again, I don't have to perform any operations based on this promise, so I can leave it something like this. So you have to use this method notify record update available, right? And you have to pass the record ID, for which you have to update the LDS memory. Now let me go and deploy this again, and we will validate the behavior one more time. So here I go. Let me refresh the page. So you can see here, let me go here one more time. You can see here the ticker symbol is journey. Here also ticker symbol is journey. Now the next thing that I am doing here is, let me go and update the ticker symbol to tech, clicking on the update record. Still it is not updated, might be the cache. Let me go and refresh it. Let me do this one more time, journey, clicking on the update record. Why it is not replicating? Okay, because of my typo here. Let me go and deploy this one more time. Let me refresh it. Putting a take, clicking on the update record. No, it is still not coming up. Let me check the inspect console log. Update operation is successful. Uh, okay, might be because we are not using the correct way. So what I will do here is I will quickly convert this into the uh, okay, sorry, I am doing it at the wrong place. Might be that is the reason. I have to do that as soon as we are getting the Apex response. So I'm just moving it down. Initially, I have done that at the wrong place. I am moving it down. I am doing it in the update ticker method. Now let me go and deploy this. Hopefully it will work this time. So let me refresh it one more time. Let me navigate to the details and putting a journey update record. You can see that this time the ticker symbol is updated dynamically. Whatever the value that I am putting up here, without the user go and refreshing the page, the same value is refreshed in the LDS, and all this data is coming up from the LDS. You can see that my update operation is successful. This is how you should use the get record update available method whenever you want to update your LDS. Right? So with the help of this method, we are notifying the LDS that the change of the record happened outside its mechanism. So they have to go and update their LDS. So we can do that with the help of notify record update available. In the old code, right, in case someone of your senior or someone of your colleague have done that, right, they might have used the get record notify change, but now this method has been superset. That's all I do have, folks, for the today's session. In the today's session, we have covered the complete end-to-end use cases for the imperative apex, like how we can load the record, how we can pass the parameters, as well as how we can perform the DML operations by using the imperative apex. In case you folks found this session helpful and got some learning from this session, kindly hit the like button and also subscribe the channel as well. Thank you. Have a good time, folks. Bye bye.